Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow when you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo-bop-bop-a-deep-a-doop-bop-bop. Surrounded by brilliance.
What's up, Internet? All right, welcome back to another episode of the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast. I always like to let you guys know what this podcast is about, and the Surrounded by Brilliance podcast was created to bring together like-minded people who don't get offended by much and who are annoyed by most things. This guy. It's a podcast where humor, levity, and some serious discussion will give you a glimpse into the inner working of my brain, a self-proclaimed get-off-my-lawn guy. You'll hear funny stories, stupid concepts, and a whole lot more from some really interesting people and probably some not so interesting people. So without further ado, I'm gonna do an intro here. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a football coach. When it comes to coaching, this dude's a player's coach. He's a grinder. He's a coach that leads by example. He's what I call an OG. My guest today is Joe Nemith III. Joe, Coach, I'm just gonna call you Coach.
That's fine.
Coach, how are we doing today?
Doing well, Josh. I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. I'm excited to have you. So now I'm gonna let the listeners at home really know a little bit more about you. And just before I start this intro, this dude's got a lot of accomplishments. He's very successful. I'm summarizing stuff because this is only like a 40-minute show. So you can find him on the interweb if you want. Learn about all of his successes. So. With more than 25 years of college coaching experience, Joe has a tremendously impressive resume. He's currently the recruiting coordinator and the defensive passing game coordinator for Wittenberg University football, located in Ohio, where he leads the greatest defensive position group of all time, the defensive backs. Enough said there. Throughout his coaching journey, it spans from the University of Akron to Tri-State University, now Trine University, and beyond, with stops including Robert Morris University, Ohio Dominican University, Otterbein University, Ashland University, Baldwin Wallace, and Urbana University. If I missed any, again, my apologies. This dude is just around the country helping people, helping players get better every day. Over the course of his coaching career, he's been part of several conference championship teams as well as multiple playoff qualifying teams. He was named the MSFA Assistant Coach of the Year in 2000. Coach has overseen the selection of 51 all-conference players, 8 All-Americans, 2 Conference Rookie of the Year picks, and 1 Cliff Harris Award nominee, which recognizes the best small college defensive back in the country. He's also coached players who have gone on to play professionally in the NFL, CFL, and AFL. Coach is a 1997 graduate of Malone College, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in communications with a public relations concentration and a minor in English. He and his wife, Stacy, have 2 wonderful children and will be celebrating 25 years of marriage this July. Again, I'm scratching the surface with that, but that is Coach Joe Nemith III in a nutshell. I already asked you how you're doing, but I always ask this question again. What's going on? Anything fun going on in your life? What it is, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, it's, at this time of year, we're hot and heavy into recruiting at Wittenberg University right now and going to camps and evaluating film. Earlier today, I probably spent about 6 hours watching kids in probably 3 different counties in the state of Ohio to, find out if they have any players for us. And so that's kind of what my summer is going on now for about the next couple of weeks until the end of June. And then I'll take some time in July and I'm taking my son to a big-time concert in Mansfield this year, and we vacation in Jacksonville. So,
okay,
and we'll do that right before football starts up in August. So, I mean, that's really about what's going on with me. And I'll be dad and take my son to his lacrosse tournaments in Indiana and all kinds of stuff, and get ready to be a volleyball dad as well, with my daughter being a senior and get ready to finish her senior year in volleyball. So. That's really about it, and within that time period, I'll celebrate my 25th wedding anniversary with my wife. and have something special with that. So it's really, really my life in a nutshell here for about the next 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So
Yeah, like this is your time of year where you can actually well, football's never on the side. It's always in your mind, but you can kind of really lock. This is where you have the time to really focus. I mean, you're always focused on family, but it's like, all right, let's take a breather. Let's go, to your point, on vacation. Let's go to Jacksonville. Let's go to the concert. What concert are you taking them to?
so we have tickets for Friday at the Incarceration Tour Festival at the Mansfield Reformatory. And,
Nice.
I mean, I think you might remember this growing up, obviously when I coached you, that I was a big metalcore, metal rock fan. And so we're going to see a concert. Like 5 or 6 of our favorite bands are playing on that Friday. So we're going to that. So,
So basically, your son's grown up listening to this, and now he's like, hell yeah, let's rock it out. You and him in the mosh pit together. Do they still mosh?
no,
Uh,
I don't mosh. I stand on the outside and watch everybody get beat up and still watch the concert while it's going on. He's jumped between metal and a little bit of rap and all that kind of stuff, and then I went to a concert in January at the Schottenstein Center here in Columbus. I went to see my favorite band, Beartooth, and he didn't go with me. He didn't want to go. And then I sent videos to him the whole time during the concert, and he was like, "Man, I should have went." I'm like, "Yeah, you should have gone," because he likes to play drums too. Like he's a drummer.
oh,
And
okay, cool.
so, like, dude, you should have gone with me. I mean, you would have had a blast. And so he wasn't going to miss this one. So
Nice. Well, that's great. It's great to hear. So, for the listeners at home, how do we know each other? I mean, I've been calling you Coach, so if they're breathing, they probably can figure it out. But I always want to ask, how do we know each other?
So in 2000, I took the defensive coordinator's job at Tri-State University working for Dale Carlson, and you were a defensive back on that team, and I coached you for 2 years, and your senior year, you were a starter, an outstanding player on a playoff team, and we've known each other since then, and that's how we met.
That
in,
is.
in good old Angola, Indiana.
That's right. The population triples in the summer, and then there's like 7,000 people there in the winter. So,
Yeah, that's right.
so why did you agree to be on this podcast, Coach?
I wanted to support you. I think it's, important for, you might be a coach for 3 or 4 years or 2 to 3 or 4 years for a young man, but you're never out of sight and out of mind, and always wanting to help, the guys that played for you. When I graduated from college, there was a saying on our T-shirt that said, "You can always count on me," and I've always believed that. I always wanted my players to know that if I can ever help them, or if I can ever be of, influence, or if I can ever talk to them, if they need somebody to talk to, that they should be able to pick up the phone, and I could be there for them. And so I saw that you were doing this, and I agreed to it. I wanted to be here to support you because I think it's pretty cool, and I want to see you have success with this. So.
Well, I appreciate you doing that, and so the ironic part of all that is, you're a husband, you're a dad, you're a football coach. I'm those things too. I'm not a football coach, but I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm a risk manager, but this thing, I started doing this because I've been toying with wanting to do a podcast just for fun, and I'm not expecting anything out of it, but in turn what I've found, because it's just a way to like connect with people that either you connect with on a regular basis and talk about different things, but I'm also finding that I've been able to connect with people who maybe I'm intermittently have only seen over the last several years. And for example, you. So you say you're here to support me, and I appreciate that. This podcast, it's just for fun, but what it's actually doing for me is it's helping me connect with people that have been in my life various times over the years, and I'm finding that it's really freaking cool, because in my mind I'm like, all right, we're gonna get on here, we're gonna talk about some stuff, we're gonna talk about some dumb stuff, and then we're gonna hang it up, and no one's gonna watch it, and no one still may watch it, but I know already that it's helping me reconnect with some people who I haven't in a long time, and to me, that in and of itself has all been worth this. Plus, we're having a hell of a time doing it. So,
Yep. No doubt.
all right, Coach. When you hear the phrase "get off my lawn," what does that mean to you? The phrase itself.
You're bothering me.
Okay, I respect that. Simple answer, and I get it because people do bother me too, and that's why I've created this segment called the "Surrounded by Brilliance, Get Off My Lawn" segment. So you and I were talking a little bit offline, but and if anyone's listened to this podcast before, I talk about this, but for years I've been creating this list of what I call "get off my lawn" moments, where you have that moment where you see somebody doing something and you stop and maybe you tilt your head, kind of like you're bewildered, or you're kind of like a dog trying to figure out what's going on. You're just like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? And it frustrates you and it annoys you. And then you got the peanut gallery over here that thinks that, oh, you're just a grumpy old guy who gets annoyed by stuff. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I think most rational people would see this situation or that scenario and be like, yeah, that's annoying. But people aren't going to say it out loud. That's what this segment's about. This segment is about saying those things out loud. And some people may agree with you, some people may disagree with you, but it's going to be funny. So I always, I'm going to go ahead and go first and give my get off my lawn moment, because a lot of this too, Tony, who you met before, my wife, she's like, Josh, you're like a 44-year-old man and with a 88-year-old mindset. And I was like, I respect that, because you know what, 88, that's like right on the brink of the greatest generation. Wouldn't it? Yeah, 88 may have fought in World War II, right?
Yeah.
Those dudes are badass. Those are real men, man.
Right.
So anyways, my get off my lawn moment today, and I actually, I thought of this one. I was going to try to do a football related one, but decided not to. This one is interesting, and it's more specific to my house. So I'm going to do two, right? The first one is, no, I'm not going to do two. I'm just going to do this one. This is a repeat, but I'm going to do it. You're at an event. You're at a concert, Coach, and concert's over. You're still pumped. You're trying to come down from that adrenaline rush. You're in the parking lot. You're in the car, and there's like two exits to the main road. Common sense is one car goes, next car goes. So it's right? Mm-hmm. Well, that doesn't always happen because there's some stupid people on this planet. But when you're the guy who gets it and understands it, and you're like, all right, I'm going to go ahead and let this car go. The minute you let that car go and they don't give you the courtesy wave, that person is dead to me, because you don't, like, the courtesy wave is so important. Like, I'm the opposite. If somebody lets me in when traffic is jammed, I overuse the courtesy wave. I'm still like 3 minutes into this. They're behind me, and I'm like, thank you, just thank you. So people who don't acknowledge people doing nice things, you can translate it to a lot of other situations, but the courtesy wave is a big one for me. It's I know it seems a little arbitrary, and as I'm saying it, I do think I'm a get off my lawn guy. But so the other concept, the other part of this is, I'm kind of complaining a little bit here. I'm being grumpy, but Surrounded by Brilliance podcast, we go full circle here. So I'm going to turn this into a positive. So here's how I would turn a failure of the courtesy wave into a positive. That person, because they didn't wave to me, and some of this I think up on the spot, like right now. So they didn't give me the courtesy wave. What that tells me is, I know that when we do finally get on the highway, I should probably stay away from that vehicle, because that guy doesn't seem to be aware of others around him. So maybe he didn't give me the courtesy wave. He's not paying attention. I don't want to be driving by him on the highway. Vis-a-vis, I'm not going to be part of an accident. There's a positive for you.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, that's solid thinking on my part, I believe.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But so that's my positive on that one. Coach, do you have a get off my lawn moment?
Well, I mean, I think this happens every day, and I was going to do a football one too, but as I heard your story, I'm going to shy away from that because I think it's just don't want to narrow it down to football, but my get off my lawn moment is just when people don't say please or thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, especially nowadays with younger people, but it's not. It doesn't just go to younger people. There are adults everywhere where you open a door for them and they don't say thank you.
Yeah.
They they need something from you and they ask it for you and they don't say please. I mean, those are just things that as a parent that you always teach your children young. Ask please, say thank you.
Yeah.
I still get on. I still get on my kids to this day. And like, if my children here don't say please or thank you, my wife and I will go like, again, like, really, like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna say please. You're not gonna say thank you. I'll still give that same look to adults, like, like, are you serious? Like, so now looking at that.
Yeah. How do you make it positive? How do you make that a positive, Coach? It's hard.
You make it a positive by saying, okay, I'm not gonna waste my time of doing something for somebody because they don't say please or they don't say thank you. I'm not going to waste my time going out of my way to help them because unfortunately they have a tough time saying please or thank you. And so I guess maybe that's.
Well, or you grab them, pull them back, and say, "I just opened the door for you. Waiting for a thank you, please."
Yeah, well, I don't. Depends on who you're pulling back. You might get punch-sized in the face on that one from somebody. You know what I mean? So it's just if they don't do it, and you go, okay, well, I learned my lesson not to do that for you again. Or so please and thank you. I think that's a good one.
You know what? What it is it's kind of a microcosm of we get away from like the little basic fundamental things.
Yeah.
That's why we're on this podcast, right? Because if people never got away from the basic fundamentals of just being a good human being, I probably wouldn't have all these moments where I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Therefore, I wouldn't have created this list. Therefore, I wouldn't have been like, you know what? I think it'd be fun to have a podcast and talk about X, Y, and Z. So, actually, I just made that into another positive. Like, because of stupid people and people who aren't, have manners, this podcast has risen like the phoenix from the ashes of sorts.
Very true. There you go. That's awesome.
Well, there we go.
Another reason to keep doing it.
We're not just here to complain and talk about get off my lawn stuff. We get deep here, and that's a prime example. We went full circle. So next segment, this one, and I want to take some more time with this one, is what I call a Surrounded by Brilliance rapid fire questions. So some of these are going to be rapid fire. Some of them aren't. Some of it's going to be let's just shoot the shit and connect. Because, I mean, really, you and I haven't had a full-fledged conversation in probably 20-some years, right? So,
Right.
We're going to use this to connect, and if people want to watch and maybe learn something, which if you're going to learn anything, you'll learn it from Coach. You're probably not going to learn it from me. I'm here for comedic purposes mostly and to guide this podcast. But if they don't learn anything, don't care because this is my podcast and I'm having fun doing it. So, all right. So this is a question I ask every guest, and I get similar answers, but it kind of goes in different directions. So if you could rewind to when you were 20 years old, and I said, all right, Coach, you either got to give up your looks or your sense of humor the rest of your life, which one would you choose, and why would you choose it? So at 20, you've hit your peak looks-wise. Right, you're not going to get better looking from then on. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to turn into a pumpkin overnight, but you've maxed out, man. You've hit your limit.
And
so,
do I stay right there?
Well, that's a great question. Here's what I would say. Mother Nature's undefeated when it comes to taking your looks from you, right? But look, you're a healthy guy. You work out. You take care of yourself. You and I both know you do those things. You eat right. You can create some longevity, not just in, well, you can create it in mind, body, and soul. So you could probably hang on to those looks longer than you think, but you're not going to get any better looking at all.
I don't think I've gotten any better looking anyway. So.
Oh, well, then the answer should be easy for you. Then let's see.
Right. So, you said looks or sense of humor at 20.
Yeah.
And I'm maxed out at. I'd say looks. I'd be maxed out at my looks then.
So you're getting rid of the looks, and so you would get rid of your looks and keep the sense of humor.
I'd try to, yeah.
Okay. But why? You got to answer the why, man.
Well, like you said, I mean, like at 20, I don't think I've changed much. I've maybe put on about 15 pounds, so I don't think my looks have really changed. I don't think my sense of humor has gotten any better. My wife will tell you that for sure. Like I'm on a podcast with, about being a grumpy old man with, right now. So, I mean, so that's why. That's why. So it'd probably be. So.
But the podcast, it's all satire, right? Like,
right.
like if people watch this and they really think, boy, that Coach Nemeth and that Josh guy, they're real assholes because they hate everybody. No, like, yeah, there's stuff that annoys us and we get grumpy about it, but
right.
We have fun. We joke around with people. So if people really think that, they're not the ones we want to listen to this anyway. So, all right. So that question is like undefeated. Everyone always says that they'll give up their looks. All right. Okay. Here's another one for you. Are you? I don't know if I'm going to ask. Are you still in your 40s, Coach?
No. I just turned 50.
Okay. So what would 50-year-old Joe tell his 22-year-old self? You didn't know you were going to have some deep, hard-hitting questions, did you?
Yeah, I know what it'd be right now.
Yeah.
Don't turn down the Grand Valley State job.
That's what okay. Well, when did that happen?
That was probably in the second year that I was coaching with Dale at Ohio Dominican.
Yeah.
I went up to visit with Chuck Martin.
Yep.
And the previous coach who left and went to Wisconsin, Matt. I can't remember his name right now, and then Matt Pulowski was a defensive coordinator there, and I went up to learn the 3-4 defense from him because I had just saw him speak at the clinic, and while I was there, they offered me an opportunity to interview, and they were like, "Listen, we've been interviewing you without you knowing we're interviewing you since you've been here for 3 days, and would you be interested in coaching here at Grand Valley State and becoming our defensive line coach?" And I turned it down, and it might have springboarded my career a little bit more, but and I would have had a chance to win a national championship, you know what I mean? But when you look back on some of those things, I have a little bit of regret of turning a couple interviews down. Like I turned down the opportunity to interview for a head coaching job at a school that was starting football.
Okay.
And I probably had a real good
Can you
shot.
at least say what state? Is it around here?
What's that?
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
It was tough, but simply because I haven't been a head coach yet. So, but some of those, you look back on some of those things and say, you maybe give yourself some advice back then. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
don't turn down the Lindsey Wilson college interview. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. All right. I love the honesty, and I appreciate it. So,
yeah.
So this may be a tough one, and maybe a simple one. I'm not fishing here because I don't know. So what's the best defense that you've ever coached and why? Best one, not I don't want a top three. I want the best one. Doesn't matter where you were at. Yeah.
The best team defense that we ever played.
Yep.
It would have had to have been the 2007 defense that Coach Carlson and I had at Ohio Dominican.
Okay.
We had 23 fumble recoveries and 21 interceptions on the year, so we had 44 takeaways, and we were like plus 21 on the year. We finished fifth in the country that year. We were 12-1 and made it to the quarterfinals of the national playoffs. When you go back and look at it, our scoring defense wasn't as good because our offense was like 3 plays, touchdown, 1 play, touchdown, And so, you look at it, and our scoring defense wasn't great, but like we had some really, really good games where we were knocking the hell out of people and creating turnovers and getting the ball back, and had a bunch of kids that were kind of like you guys at Tri-State that were just try-hard kids, and they started that program at Ohio Dominican, and then in the 4th year, bang, all of a sudden, we're playing really, really, really lights-out defense. We beat a Division II school and knocked them out of the playoffs. They were 8-2, and one of their losses was to an NAI school at the time, you know what I mean? So that 2007 defense was pretty special, and I ended up having a kid that, we had 14 NFL teams come in to visit him, and he was a safety, you know what I mean? So they were really, really good.
Nice. Well, and for the listeners at home, so Coach Nemith is talking about Coach Dale Carlson. He was actually the head coach at Tri-State when I was there, as Coach alluded to earlier. When Coach Carlson left Tri-State, because you, Coach, were at Robert Morris at the time?
Yeah. I was at Robert Morris at the time.
Robert Morris at the time. He then you went with him to start the program at Ohio Dominican.
Right.
And the rest was history there. I mean, because, Coach Carlson, that seemed to be his thing. He likes to start those programs, right?
Yeah, and like I was a player on a first-year college program at Malone.
Yeah.
So I had done it as a player, and then I had done it as a coach. And then even when I was with you guys at Tri-State, I mean, Tri-State's program just started in 1995, and then I was there in 2000. I was there 5 years later, you know what I mean? So I'd been around those type of programs, and the year before I got there, I think was the playoff year that in 98 or whatever, 98 or 99, when Tri-State made the playoffs and made a really deep run, and then it was rebuilding that program back up, and that's what we did in your junior and senior year. And I would be willing to say this too, that 2000 defense, that 2001 defense that you played on, you guys were really good. I mean, you guys, we had some really, really good football players.
Yeah, we did.
You and Ike Sturgis and Jordan Gili and Eric Hensel and, Jason Steck-Schulte, all you guys, and Kadir Muki. I mean, you guys were good football players too, and you guys had a solid defensive football team. And so, and Danny Protzman, you know what I mean? There were 5 or 6 guys on that defense that were All-Americans in some publication or another, you know what I mean? And so, I would venture to say that 2007 team was pretty good, and so was that 2001 defense that we had at Tri-State. I thought they were really, really good.
Yeah, they were. We had some ballers on defense. That was, and so actually, and just I'm going to correct you because my junior year was when we went to the playoffs because and this is a part where I was bummed, right? But now I understand it as an adult. Back then I was a 21-year-old kid. And you had coached us. You coached me my sophomore and my junior year. Okay. And then I get that call in the summer, and you're like, "Hey, I'm calling you to let you know I took a new position." And I think if I remember correctly, it kind of got emotional. But it was you just epitomizing like, "Look, I appreciated the time. I enjoyed coaching you, and like this is what a man does." Because before you got there, I will tell you, there was a guy that left, didn't even know until I showed back up, never heard from him. But it was just the little things, right, that we keep talking about here.
Right.
And that was like, I think that was maybe a month before camp started. I think so, month or two.
I started at Robert Morris, like I think on June or July 1st, one of those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. So, but yeah, I mean,
But that stunk. But I mean, I understand it. Like I was mad for a minute because I was a 21-year-old kid who was just like, well, shit. Like we just had this team play in the playoffs. We had a lot of guys coming back too. But I understood it, and it's interesting because I don't know if you remember this, but I thought of this the other day. We had a game in Geneva that year. We played at Geneva. You came to the game,
yes, and
and
I called the game. I was on the radio.
you came to the game, and you
Yeah.
were down like kind of talk. We're warm ups are done. We're kind of getting ready to go out there, and that's when I'm like trying to just laser focus in. All right, what are my responsibilities? What are my coverages? What are my checks? Blah blah blah. And you were kind of trying to like talk to me, and I was ignoring you, not for any reason. But this would have been the first time that we talked since you made that call that summer, right? And you're like, hey, man, I remember you saying this. You're like, hey, are you pissed off at me because I left? And I remember looking at you like, I'm not pissed, coach. I'm just fucking locked in. And okay.
Well, you know what? It looks like I did the right thing. I was, maybe I got you going a little bit like laser focused.
Yeah.
That's good. No, I mean,
But,
that's probably what should have happened. I probably should have kept my distance then.
No. But it's the moments I think of, right? And
Yeah.
another one too is so my junior year, which was again great team year. I had the best game I ever played, and it was against. You remember who it was against? I give you a pass if you don't. You've been coaching.
Let me. Was it an Ohio team?
Nope.
Was it an Indiana team?
Yeah.
Well, it had to only be what, St. Francis?
Yeah. We played at St. Francis.
Oh yeah.
And I think they were 1 or 2 in the country.
Yeah.
And we were out of the top 10 at that point because that game's later in the season. But or maybe we were like maybe we were like 9 or something, or 8. But I had 2 picks. I had another one that I dropped or I tipped. I had like 7 tackles, and after that week, I'm certain that I got MSFA Defensive Player of the Week because I got like something from them. But if you go back and look at Trine, it's Trine now. They have those records. I'm nowhere to be listed, so I think that they missed me. But I remember that next day at films, and you're like, I'm gonna call your high school coach and tell him you balled the hell out. But that's the stuff I remember, right? Like I remember. A lot of what I remember from college it's the relationships. It's the people you meet. You remember the plays and stuff, but the stuff that really holds with you is the relationships. And you were always you pushed us hard. We worked our asses off, but you were always there to pick a guy up, to give him a push. Because I remember leaving after my sophomore year because I played behind Schragle and Hart, which both those guys were just studs, right?
Yeah, they were good.
And I, for me it was mental. Like I was a pretty good high school player at a Division 6 high school at the time. And full disclosure, I probably wasn't really ready for college football when I got there, but by the end of my sophomore year going into my junior year, you in our like kind of exit meetings, you said some stuff to me, and I think it was pretty simple. It was something like you just got to find it. Like it's easy to do the work in the weight room. It's easy to watch the film and break it down, but you just got to find it up here because you're getting in your own way. And I worked really hard that summer.
I literally remember that conversation about talking to you about how the mental aspect of the game is really important and what fires in your mind when you play defense. And I always go back to the fact of what my dad taught me. My dad always told me when you step between the lines, you got no friends. Doesn't matter if they're on your team or not, you know what I mean? And I remember having that conversation with you because you were a good player. It's just you didn't quite have that.
Yep, 100%.
You were gonna punch somebody in the mouth.
Yeah.
And then you came back the next year, and I probably even brought up the example of me, like, like in my sophomore year, I split time with my roommate, and my dad was one of my coaches in college. He wasn't my coach, but he coached on defense, and I finally asked my dad, I said, Dad, what do I got to do to beat this guy out to win the job outright? And he was like, well, you're faster than he is, but he's more physical than you are. So what do you think it is? Well, it looks like you got to become more physical and knock the hell out of people.
Yeah.
And I think if that was that conversation with you and
Yeah.
I, and when you showed up in fall camp, there was a little bit more of an edge to you, and that was really, really good. And that's what did it for you.
Yeah. Well, and so to me, I think you like. Back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, coaches coached every player probably the same, right? But as a coach, you'll attest to this, and it's probably even more so now. You can't coach Billy over here the same way you coach Tommy, right? So for me, I think that was a glimpse into me seeing that, because you would push us hard, but then, and there are other guys who you probably wouldn't have that same conversation with. You would probably, maybe, you might even be a little softer about them and maybe not dance around it, but say, hey, you got to work on this, you got to do that. Yeah. But you were very upfront, and you said, this is what you got to do.
Yeah.
You do this, this makes the difference. So
you're completely right. Some guys you can scream and holler at them and get after their butt, and they process everything of what you're trying to say, and they take all the yelling and stuff, and it goes out here, and they say, oh, coach wants me to do it this way. Yeah. There's some guys that if you yell at them, their head they go right in the tank. Yeah. And some guys are better off when you put your arm around them and you pull them off to the side and say, listen, you're not playing, you're not doing this, this, and this. So, I mean, that's coaching, and I learned this later on in my career. It's a great saying. All football coaches are just dealers in hope. That's all we are. We're dealers in hope. We have to look that player in the eye, and we have to make him, and we have to give him the hope that he believes that he can do it. You know what I mean? And I think, I have to deal in hope all the time, and trying to reassure a lot of players, like, listen, you can do this. It's just the way that you go about telling them might be a little bit different,
Yeah. So that is a great transition into my next question, because this next question is going to be, there's going to be some humor to it, but I'm going to pontificate a little on it too. So, are you still giving these banger pregame speeches, just fiery pregame speeches? Are you still giving those?
When I would, I'm the defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator at Wittenberg, and the guy that I work with, him and I previously worked together at Otterbein, where I was the defensive coordinator and he was kind of my co-DC. Well, now he's the defensive coordinator calling it, and I'm kind of his co-DC. We're best friends, like we've known each other forever.
Yeah.
And so the one thing I don't try to do is I don't try to step on his toes.
Sure.
He's the guy that calls it, Now I'll get my guys together, and I'll get them into a group, and within my segment of defensive backs, I give them the hellfire and brimstone to get after it. You know what I mean? I do that. I go back to being at Geneva in the boiler room brawl speech. Remember that one? I was a big WWE fan, WWF Stone Cold Steve Austin guy, when I was coaching you guys. And Mankind and freaking, who was it? The Undertaker just had the boiler room brawl.
Yeah.
We played out at Geneva, and they stuck us in that crappy, locker room. And I took you guys out to this other spot. And we, and there were all these pipes coming out of the walls and all that kind of stuff, and out of the ceilings. And I gave the old boiler room, we're in a boiler room brawl. This is what it's going to be, So yes, if I was the defensive coordinator, you're damn skippy I'd be giving those types, those types of locker room speeches.
Well, since you're being so open about some of your speeches, I was going to say, I wanted to play a game where I was going to reenact a few pregame speeches, and then you had to guess which one was from your days. But since you're kind of open with this, I want to talk about a few of them. So, your first year as D coordinator, right? We've gone through camp, first game of the season. And you were a great teacher. Again, we talked about how you would motivate us differently. Defensive meeting, morning, we go have breakfast, do our thing. We walked up to touch the rock, come have breakfast. We go in and defensive meeting, and you come in there, and we're talking some X's and O's stuff, and then you turn around and your back is to the whiteboard, and then you turn around and you do this. It's like Stallone and over the top.
Yeah.
And you're like, you start talking about the movie Predator. You remember this?
Oh no, I don't.
You're like, what'd the Predator do to the guys in the helicopter?
He skinned them alive.
And, well, you're asking this, and we're like, what? What? Someone's like, what? He's like, you're like, he skinned them alive. He's like, that's what I want from you. You're like, I want you to hit these dudes hard every play. I want broken bones. I want blood. I want this. I don't care what you got to do. Be the Predator today, right?
Yeah, right.
And we walked out of that meeting, and I was like, because this is our first pregame speech from you. We've not got one of these. We walked out of this meeting, and at first we're like, okay, yeah, let's fucking do this. So what I'm getting at is, at first we were like, okay, this guy, is he trying to loosen us up and keep it rule, or like does he? I mean, because you used to say this. You used to say this is organized violence. It's like you're like, this is the only thing that you can do where you can break someone's arm and not go to jail.
Yeah, my dad used to say it's the only game that you could play where you could practically kill somebody and not go to jail for. And that's, I mean, obviously we're not talking about skinning somebody, and we're not talking about killing somebody or breaking somebody's bone. What we're getting at is man, you can go out and you can pulverize somebody between these two lines right here, these 4 lines on the field. You can go out there and knock the hell out of somebody and not get in trouble for it. You know what I mean? And so my dad used to say that to me all the time as, growing up. And so I don't know. I guess I kind of always took on the personality of my dad, because my dad was a great college football coach, high school coach, and he was a great motivator, and he was just a tough guy, you know what I mean? And I always wanted my guys to play like his guys did. So.
Well, so the moral of the story of this is, like, this isn't just looking back on it. Like, so we believed in you because you coached us the right way. Like, you weren't just there to give rah-rah speeches, right? So that did translate to the field. So it wasn't just, because we've been around coaches who, like, maybe they are just there for some pomp and circumstance, like it's a stepping stone. Like, you really we bought into what you were selling, which is why we were successful, right? So I remember after that one, we're like, all right, what's the next one? And the one that sticks out to me too is, there's a couple. I'm going to end on this other one, but this one, St. Francis, that when we beat them that year, when we talked about earlier, you gave a speech about being a shark in murky water and just feeding. He's like you're feeding on chum. You just keep hitting them, keep feeding on the chum, and it's like you're giving us a lot of credit, but now I'm like, you knew what the hell you were doing, because it was the metaphor, right? It's not about, when you look past it, it's like, just go out and just keep fucking hitting them. Just don't stop. Just work the game plan. Read your coverages. Like, read your keys. So it was because you coached us right. We were prepared right. And then you used some humor, some like, let's fucking get it. And we were ready to play. But the best one ever. And I'm gonna be brutally honest with you on this one, because we believed in you and this came to fruition. But you used to use this thing right here. Right here. You wore.
Yeah. I still got it.
Yep. You had a ring. You were fortunate enough to win a conference championship ring. Was it at Malone?
Malone. Yeah.
Yep. So it's the carrot, right? You're dangling it. We kept dangling it. Like, you want that ring. Like, that's just one step. You win a conference championship, you make it to the playoffs, and you used to. And I'm gonna imitate you here. And I'm not. This isn't me being disrespectful. This is after the games, after we won that, or after the first time you gave that speech about this, that night we won the game. We were like, Coach Nemith had us so fired up, and I remember me and another guy are like, because you were like, listen, you're talking, you're giving a speech, you're like, you guys want that championship, you got to go out and get it, and then you just start to you're raising your voice, your tone's getting louder, and you're like, you see this? I got one. You want one? Go get it. And that was your closer. And we walked out. We ran out. We were fired up. I can't remember what the score was, but we destroyed that team. I think it was homecoming that year, and we played our balls off. And then what did we do that year? We freaking won it. So the reason I bring that up is because I'll see Steck occasionally. Occasionally I'll chat with Jordan on Facebook and those guys, and that speech always comes up, man. Like Brandon Hain and I are great friends. He comes up here regularly. He and I will go to Trine games, and I told him, I said, "Hey, Coach Nemith I'm interviewing on a pod tonight," and he's like, and you know what he responded? He sent me a text that said, "I got one. You want one? Go get it."
So that year when you guys beat St. Francis, you guys might not know this. I guarantee you don't know this. Do you know who the quarterback coach was of the St. Francis football team?
I don't.
Okay, does the name Mike Yursich ring a bell?
Yursich, is that?
He ended up leaving St. Francis and coached Division II football, and then went to he was out in PA for a while, and then got hired by Oklahoma State, and then he was Penn State's offensive coordinator, and then he was Ohio State's quarterback coach, and he's been all over the country. And to this day, last week I saw Mike Yursich. Mike Yursich is still a good friend of mine because he works at Youngstown State University now, and Mike Yursich, every time I see him, brings up the fact that, man, remember that St. Francis game? You guys played your face off, man. You guys kicked our tail, man. That was such a great game. But Mike Yursich, what was the quarterback coach of that team, and he's still a good friend of mine to this day. And so I get a little bit of a reminder of that game all the time. And then I just saw where Kevin Donnelly just retired from St. Francis, and this past week actually. So, but yeah, I remember those days were awesome, man. You guys were unbelievable. I mean, I just enjoyed that entire group of players.
I did too. I mean, again, I stay in touch with a handful of them. That's the part that that sucks sometimes, right? Like you leave and then you go do your own thing, but it's that those times they were some really good times. But then I think about it, I'm like, dude, that's just there was some really good times, but it's just a snapshot of your life. Yeah. But it prepared me. Like sport for me, I'll always be a big advocate. Like from grade school, middle school, high school, and college, sports were so important for me because the adversity, which was going to be, I was going to talk about one of my get off my lawn was like kids today, in my opinion, whether it's sports or just they don't play sports, they just don't understand adversity. Like they haven't overcame it. Like the worst thing that's ever happened to them is the worst thing that's ever happened to them. Meaning, you got grounded. Like you didn't make the basketball team as a freshman. Yeah, that sucks, but that's not the worst thing that's ever going to happen to you. It's just they don't really know. They're not enduring. So I'm going to ask. So this is actually a question I meant to ask you. So what do you? You're the recruiting coordinator at Wittenberg now, but you've been recruiting for 25 years. Like you're just. So, what foundational pieces are you looking for in a potential recruit's character? Like, what do you look for in their character? Because, I mean, either they can play or they can't. So I'm assuming there's.
Yeah, I think obviously, you're always looking for academically, do you feel that they can handle it, at the school that you're at, number one. One of the things that I think is really big to look at as a coach, and I learned this later on, in recruiting, when you look at a transcript, is how many days school have they missed?
Oh, okay.
Or
They show up.
how many days tardy are they, and how many days of school have they missed? And that tells you a lot. That tells you a little bit about, okay, are they showing up to school on time? Number one, are they missing days or not missing days? Number two, nowadays with the advent of social media and Twitter and stuff like that, you kind of get a glimpse into a kid's life. If he's very active on social media, you can kind of tell what he's into and what he isn't. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think the character qualities for me are guys that do what they say what they're going to do and they go out and do it. You know what I mean? Don't talk about it, be about it. You know what I mean? Don't tell me you're going to do something. Show me that you're going to do it. One of the other things I learned from one of my old coaches was a champion is someone that does the right thing at the right time all of the time, even when no one is watching. My high school coach told me that when I was younger. And so, if you say you're going to do something, do it. Don't talk about it and then, dance around it and not let it happen, So, the character qualities that, there's a bunch that you can look at, I also look at it too, how, when a kid comes on a visit, how does he address adults? Does he look them in the eye? Does he shake their hand? Is he shaking their hand and then looking around, or does he really give a crap while he was there? How's he dressed? Is he dressed fairly decent, or is he wearing, his pants down below his butt? You know what I mean, and stuff like that. That kind of stuff irks me when I see it. You know what I mean? It's just, I know that a lot of kids, do that kind of stuff nowadays, but you don't show up at a college or university to impress a college coach and dress bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, so there are different stuff that I kind of identify that, I like and I don't like. Each coach is different too, you know? So my head coach might look at something a little bit different than I do. So.
Yeah. Well, so what I hear though is it's a common theme that we've been talking about is really it's the little things, right? Because I'm making some sweeping assumptions here, but if you're going to talk to a kid or a kid's coming to visit, you already know, like you've seen enough tape, like the kid can play, right?
Yeah.
You can find a spot for him in your scheme, but it's what kind of person is he? Like how does he treat other people? How does he dress? And that goes back to it's the little things. It's just all the little things, and this is a tried and true, get off my lawn. Look, man, it doesn't matter whether you're a child of the 60s or you're a kid that was born in the 2000s. Like the little things never go away and they never stop, and they're foundational pieces. And that's what some of these kids, I can't speak to from a coaching standpoint, but from just what I see as young adults, some of them just miss the boat.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the other thing too is, as a coach, being able to project and being able to project how is that kid going to treat the worst player in the room?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you bring this really good football player on your team. He's really, really good, or he's it could be in the business world. He's a really good business. He can go out and find clients and he generates business for your company. All right. How is he going to treat the worst, the guy who's not as good as he is, or the guy that's not the greatest in the room? How is he going to treat that person within your company? How is he going to treat that? How is that guy going to treat that corner in the room? He's a really good corner himself. He can cover everything. He plays man coverage. No one can get on top of him. He had one catch on him in the last 3 games. But how is he going to treat the guy in the room who isn't as good as him?
Yeah.
Is he going to treat him with respect? Is he going to help him? Is he going to try to help elevate his teammates to get to be better? I think sometimes you try to gauge that as a coach. You try to gauge, is this guy going to really elevate the room by his play and by the person that he is and how he treats people? Yeah. Or is he going to just decimate the room because he's a complete jerk and he can't talk to people the right way, and he thinks his shit doesn't stink. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not a team guy. He's a me
No,
guy.
he's a me guy, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's another reason that I think that 2001 team at least on the defensive side, it was a team thing. It wasn't a me
yeah,
thing. I mean,
I went.
even though there might be some times when you got Ike Sturgis doing his own thing, but
Yeah, but I can methodically remember us going into that year and looking, and I'll just bring one of your teammates up, and maybe he might hear this is Eric Hensel.
oh,
Eric was a good linebacker, but he had guys that were in front of him that were a little bit better, and we were like, well, couldn't he play defensive end? I mean, he's good, he's big, he's strong, he's physical, and we put him into a position to where he succeeded, and we were just like, hey, listen, we need to get you on the field. You can help this football team, and he did. We put him in a spot. He embraced it.
Yeah.
He didn't bitch and moan and complain about it. He was like, okay, this is where I am, and I'm going to make the best out of this. And bang, here he was playing opposite of Danny Protzman, and he had Ike Sturgis and Kyle Christman, and Lou Willoughby and freaking
Jordan Geely.
I mean, I can name that front seven, and those guys, they played out of their mind. And that was the one guy that we didn't know about that spot, and you put him in a spot, and you're like, man, this guy's going to be really, really good. And he was coached really, really well by Coach Schoonmaker,
Schoon Dog.
The old Schoon Dog, he looked like the remember the prairie dog from Bugs Bunny. That was Schoon, you know what I mean?
Schoon.
And so but he's a perfect example of a guy that he wasn't a me guy. He was a we guy. Coach, whatever you need me for, I'll do it. You know what I mean? And he had a great season that year. So
He did. He's having success as a high school football coach, I believe, head coach. So
awesome.
I think so. So, look, Coach, we could talk forever, and I'm hoping that we can talk again, whether it's on the podcast or just stay more connected than we have over the last 20 years.
I would love to do this podcast again, dude. This would be great.
Well, so here's the next step. I think what we're going to try and do is I'm going to try and do some multi people on here, not just two people. So maybe we can get I know Brandon would participate, but maybe I can get another fellow defensive guy. Maybe I can get Steck to join, or maybe I can get Coach Geely now.
Coach Steck Schulte would be good. I haven't seen Steck in a while, and I always tell every defensive back that played for me, I say, you want to know the best corner that ever played for me, the best guy who ever played for me, and he might not like this. I think Steck only ran like 4.9. I mean, he wasn't very fast. But you know what? If you put him in man coverage because he was so physical from the line of scrimmage, he beat you up at the line of scrimmage. You couldn't get off the line of scrimmage. So I always tell everybody all the time, they're like, well, Coach, I'm not that fast. Well, hey, my best corner, one of the best corners that ever played for me, ran 4.9, but his technique was unbelievable, and that was Jason Steck Schulte.
So in my mind, I'm already thinking maybe we'll do, because really this is turning, we're talking a lot of football, we're talking a lot of life lessons, a lot of positivity. Initially, this podcast isn't really about positivity. It's about busting people's balls. It's about get off my lawn stuff. But I was talking to my wife, like, I can already see the podcast evolving. So maybe we have different themes. But would love to have you back on again, and we'll see if we can get some of the other guys. But what I typically do is at the end, and I know that not that anybody you're recruiting would necessarily see this, but do you want people to be able to find you on social media if they watch this or learn more about you? Do you want me to give a plug for Wittenberg and where they can find you, or are you good with that?
No, I mean, it's not a big deal. For me, this is personal. I like to keep my football and my personal life and all that kind of a little bit separate, you know what I mean? So for me, I mean...
No, that's fine.
Yeah, there's no need to plug Wittenberg. I mean... This is you and me, man. You played for me, and I love you to death, and I'm just happy that you're doing well. So we're not going to get to the rapid fire, man. Are we?
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you. You know what? We're going to do some rapid fire stuff. These are not traditional questions. So get ready. Here we go. What's more embarrassing, Forgetting to put on underwear or deodorant?
Underwear for sure.
Okay. Favorite restaurant and why?
That would have to be Outback Steakhouse. Just
Oh,
because I like to eat steak.
a classic.
Yeah,
What's a fun fact about you that people listening may not know, or that most people may not know?
well, I mean, I'm 50 years old. I listen to metalcore. My four favorite bands are Beartooth, Sleep Theory, Spirit Box, and Kill Switch Engage.
Yeah. All right. Last question.
Yes.
Is it true or false? Do you know a member of the band 98 Degrees?
Yes, I do. He actually played football with me. I know Jeff Timmons very well. Matter of fact, we still talk to each other through Facebook. We message each other back and forth on birthdays and stuff like that. But Jeff Timmons played football with me at Malone, and he was a funny guy, man. Like he would go and do like these prank phone calls on the phone. Remember the Jerky Boys?
Yeah.
He would do that out of his dorm room at Malone College, and he would tape them, and they were funny. But the dude never went to class. And so he failed out of school, and then he goes to Kent State, and he was working at a bar, and he would do karaoke, and it just so happens that two of the people from 98 Degrees, I don't know if it's one of the Lachey guys is from 98 Degrees, is from Ohio or not, but they heard him sing in karaoke, and he like somehow got involved with 98 Degrees, and then if when their first single hit, The Invisible Man, he's the guy that does the singing right after Nick Lachey. That's Jeff Timmons. So yeah, Jeff Timmons and I know each other very well. He's from Massillon, Ohio, and he was one of my teammates at Malone.
All right. This is really the
And
last.
how about this? I got one more for you.
Yeah.
Wale, the rapper. You know that? Wale, he's a rapper. Wale.
Okay.
He's like a multi-platinum like rap artist. He played for me at Robert Morris University.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice. Last question. You've got. I'm making this up I'm not making it up, but I use this for someone else in a different scenario. Someone offers you $100,000 to drive from East Coast to West Coast. You got to drive in a Pinto. It runs well, but it's a Pinto. You can't listen to the radio. You can't bring any other electronic devices. Nothing. You're basically raw dogging this ride. You can bring one person with you. Who are you bringing with you to make that trip?
Alive or dead?
Great question. Let's whoever they may maybe they're passed away now, but anybody. Who is it?
Well, my father just passed away last month, so I would choose my dad for a cross country trip, and we would probably talk about a lot of football stuff, a lot of stuff at Malone, a lot of stuff at because if you remember correctly, when I was at Tri-State, my dad was coaching at Malone at the time.
Yeah.
So,
You introduced us to him. I only got to meet him once briefly. You talked about him a lot, and I know that it's been a tough it's been a tough half year for you with him.
So it would probably be my dad though, because my dad and I could sit down and talk about anything, and we could eat anywhere, and he could bust my chops and I could bust his chops, and it would be a good trip.
Well, I think that's a great choice. So look, this has been fun. I enjoy catching up with you, Coach. And some people, Tony's like, you still call him Coach? I'm like, yeah. I told you on the phone this morning when we talked. I'm like, for me, it's just a respect thing. Like you coached me in football, but you taught me things about life. So you're always going to be my coach. So this has been great. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll have to do it again. So thanks again, Coach.
I'm all about it, man. Whenever remember I told you that slogan that was on my shirt? You can count on me. You can count on me, Josh, for sure, man. I love visiting with you, and I'm so proud of you, and just all the guys that you played with, man. You guys were a special group of guys. So
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Again, you're listening to Surrounded by Brilliance podcast, and our guest today was Joe Nemith III. He's a heck of a guy, heck of a football player. Thanks again, Coach.
all right, man. Take
Yeah,
care.
bye.
Get off my lawn. Don't turn around in my driveway. And don't drive slow if you're in the left lane. Scooby-Doo bop bop a deep a doop bop bop.